Award, Leaders in Public Service in 2000, 1999 Community Service Award, Haven Hills, 1998 Woman of the Year, 40th Assembly District, and it goes on and on and on. You have a lady here who has given to this community and helped people with their education and given them wonderful, positive lives. So on behalf of the City Council and the community of the San Fernando Valley, I also want to acknowledge you along with Wendy and my colleagues. And we were at a reception at the mayor's residence just last week, and we were discussing retirement. Your husband's retired, and you've been going to work. He's been golfing every day, and we were talking. You didn't know, Dr. Tyree, you didn't know that he was sitting behind you here in Chambers, and he put his hand up, so he didn't want me to let you know that he was there. But all those comments you made about he's golfing, he's getting a little beer belly because he's not exercising as he goes to the gym like he used to, he was listening. He heard all those comments. But we did talk about him and you on a Harley-Davidson and enjoying retirement. So hopefully we'll blossom into that, because golfing is one activity, Harley riding is another activity, and now you're both retired. You'll be able to enjoy the beautiful scenery on the Harley-Davidson. Why don't we get you up here? Come on up here. What's his name?
Les.
Les, come on up here, Les. Les, come on up here. You're not going to be just behind the camera. We're going to get you on camera with your lovely wife over here. Just take the jump. There you go. There we go. And now we have this beautiful couple who's retiring, going into wonderful sailing. You guys are going to take 6 months at sea, Italy.
Not quite, but close.
Greece. Well, you're going away for 6 months.
Right.
And you'll come back and run the library system for us in the city of Los Angeles as a commissioner. So again, we want to acknowledge you and wish you both the very, very best in those happy years ahead. And I will train you on the Harley, so don't worry about that.
I'm ready.
And you're ready. And Tyree, I know you're going to look good on the back of that Harley-Davidson. So Wendy Gruhl, back to you.
Okay. Well, with that, we have said a lot. Let's give a great round of applause to a great friend of the city of Los Angeles, Tyree Weeder.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that. But
Let's do that. You say first. You get to say something, since we didn't let you
Listen,
prepare.
I would say thank you very much. Clearly, this is a surprise, because I was actually supposed to be here about commission business, and so this was really not on the agenda. So I will credit both of the council members for being, I don't want to say sneaky, for being, for pulling off a surprise, and I really do appreciate it. I will say that even though I am retiring from Los Angeles Valley College, I am not retiring from this city. I was born here, raised here. This city is in my heart, and I will be continuing to work and do everything I can to improve the city and to work with all the council people to make sure good things happen. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
And she's going to have a great retirement party this Saturday, and so, don't do anything you'll regret on that. So thank you all very much, Mr. President. I think we'll come over here.
Thank you very much. We have two other presentations. We'll go to Mr. Alarcon from Council District 7. We'll give our next presentation, and then we'll hear from Mr. Smith.
Take two and hit to right. Take two and hit to right. Baseball. That's what I used to do. Yeah. It's a pleasure to be before you to make a presentation to an organization that has been around for a while, but has just recently moved into Pacoima to provide a service as well as an opportunity to the city to be environmentally secure. Let me say that last month I had the pleasure of joining the Reuse people for the grand opening of their new location in Pacoima. I was so impressed at what they are doing in their operation that I wanted to let the City Council know as a whole, and the people of Los Angeles to know what they are doing. The Reuse people has taken recycling and reuse to a whole new level, and in doing so have provided our communities with the opportunity to purchase goods that have been used and recycle them through their purchase. I know firsthand, as I was out there, I bought a lamp that I thought was pretty cool. It's an antique lamp, and it cost me $20. It's well worth it, and I encourage people to go check out what they're doing at the Reuse people. The Reuse people are more than just a recycling or reasonably priced products. The Reuse people has taken recycling and shown that it can be a stable business. In essence, they are closing the loop, making environmentalism an economic a positive economic contribution. The Reuse People was formed in 1993 as a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded by Ted Rive. It began, interestingly, with a drive for building materials to help flood victims in Tijuana, Mexico, and since then it has grown to include Northern and Southern California, Colorado, Washington State. They keep usable building materials out of the landfill and provide them for reuse in new building projects. Over the last 2 years, the Reuse People certified contractors deconstructed 116 residences and 1 commercial building in the Los Angeles area. That represents about 4,680 tons of waste diverted from our local landfills, and the diversion will only increase as the facility reaches full capacity. So this organization has added 5 additional certified deconstruction contractors since 2006 for a total of 9 contractors trained in maximizing reuse and diversion in Los Angeles. Let me be very clear. What this is, if you have a house that needs to be knocked down, the Reuse People will knock that house down in a way that they can maximize the use of the materials so that they can be reused by other construction projects. And they have developed it in a way that it's economical for the person knocking down the house. It's economical for the new contractors who purchase the goods. They certainly are able to manage their organization, their nonprofit organization, and with this process. And more importantly, the City of Los Angeles benefits from the deflection of materials. Instead of going into landfills, they are going into reuse. And so this is an outstanding organization. It deserves our recognition. More importantly, I hope the people of Los Angeles use their product. And by the way, there's a cool thing that just recently happened. They actually deconstructed the 3 sets for the Matrix 2 and Matrix 3 at the Alameda Naval Air Station, including the sets for a New York apartment, a cave, a 6-lane freeway. So if you want to get some goods that might have come out of the Matrix, you can check out the Reuse People. These materials would otherwise have gone into our landfills. So we are very pleased that they have come into the San Fernando Valley. We wish them the greatest success. I hope that you go buy your own lamps over there, or refrigerators, or wood, or whatever reuse materials they have. In any case, I wanted to recognize this organization, the Reuse People, for the tremendous contribution they are giving to our world, our city of Los Angeles, and particularly the people of the Northeast San Fernando Valley. Correct.
Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councilman. By the way, I don't know if I can add any more to this. When you retire, if you're looking for a job, we could use a good salesperson. I don't know what to add to anything you've said, except I'd like to introduce Shannon Barnes, who's the manager of our store and warehouse in Pacoima. And certainly, if any of you have any needs, not only for deconstruction but for used materials, Shannon is the one to see. And we're up on Sutter Avenue in Pacoima. And again, I'm not sure I can add any more than you have. Thank you very much.
Did you want to say something?
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to make it very clear, I'm not looking for another job. Thank you.
It's just good to know you have the skills, Mr. Alarcon. It's good to know. All right. We will now call the roll. Mr. Clerk, we'll begin the meeting.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Smith moves. Ms. Gruel seconds. Without objection, those minutes will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Reyes moves. Mr. Rosendahl seconds. Without objection, those 2 will be approved. Next order of business.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there's a flag salute.
All right. If I can ask everybody in chambers to please rise for our traditional Pledge of Allegiance, and if I can ask Mr. Reyes to lead us in a salute to the flag.
Would you stand? Place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. If we can run through the agenda, please.
On the irregular agenda, items 1 through 6 are building and safety liens notice for public hearing. The department reports that item 2 may be received and filed in as much as the ownership has changed, and item 4 may be received and filed in as much as the lien has been paid.
Okay.
And there is a card on number 1.
Call that special for card from the public.
And just heard a card on 3.
And 3. So on 2, 4, 5, and 6, anybody wishing to call those special, we'll open and close the public hearings. On 2 and 4, we'll move to receive and file. 5 and 6, we will go ahead and move forward. If we can open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 7 through 11 are street lighting district items notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearings and present the ordinances on July 1st.
Okay. Without objection, we'll go ahead and continue those to the 1st and present the ordinances. Let's go ahead to the next items, please.
Items 12 through 16 are street lighting district ordinances notice for public hearing. Council should have 12 members. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. We're still waiting for, I believe, Mr. Parks and Mr. Weezar to arrive. And Mr. Labange is expected a little later as well, so we'll hold those on the desk. Next items, please.
Item 17 is a building safety lien in Council District 14 notice for public hearing, and the department now recommends that matter be received and filed, but there is a card on that.
Okay, we'll call that special for the card from the public. Next items.
Items 18 and 19 are items notice for public hearing.
Okay. If we do not have any cards, we'll open and close the public hearings on 18 and 19. Go ahead. If nobody wishes to call those special, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items.
Items 20 through 24 are items for which public hearings have been held. On item 23, there is a request to continue that matter to June 20th.
Any objection, colleagues, to continuing item 23 till the 20th of June? Seeing, Mr. Reyes?
Item 24, please.
Okay. We'll continue 23. Item 24 called special by Mr. Reyes. Leaves 20 through 22. Any specials there? Not. Let's go ahead and open the roll on those 3. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 25 through 51 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Items 25 and 26 are commission reappointments. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold those on the desk.
And on item 45, the Office of Finance is requesting to continue that matter to this Friday.
On 45s?
45.
Okay. Any objection, colleagues, to continuing 45 until Friday? Seeing none, so ordered. We have cards from the public on a number of these. Item 34, call special for a card from the public. Number 38, call special for a card from the public. Number 44, number 48, 49, 50, and 51. Those will be called special for cards in the public. We'll open and close the other hearings. If we can hold the ordinances on the desk, please, till we have 12 members. That leaves items 35 through 47. Mr. Zine, special? Okay. Any other specials, colleagues, on the ballots? Okay. If not, on 35 through 37, 39 through 43, and 46 and 47, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And 43 will send forthwith without objection. Next items, please.
On the continuation agenda, item 52 is an item notice for public hearing.
Okay, we'll call that special for a card from the public. And Mr. Zine on 53.
Continue for 30 days, please.
Okay, is there any objection to continue item 53 for 30 days? That will take us to July 11th. Seeing none, so ordered. We can call the roll for the special meeting, please.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zine, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
All righty. First item.
This is a one-item agenda. Item 54 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay. Anybody wishing to call 54 special? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote. Oh, wait.
Mr. President, that is an ordinance as well. Do you wish to
Let's
that?
hold it then on the table for 12 members. Okay. And if we can continue that back into the regular meeting and adjourn the special meeting, and that'll take us to general public comment. Mr. Zine?
On Commissioner for the library, if we could move that.
We're going to move that first. We do have one more presentation, so I'll recognize Mr. Smith now for that presentation. We'll do the library commissioner, and then we'll go to public comment right after that.
Thank you.
Okay. Without objection. I'd like to welcome the council member from the 12th District, Craig Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm asking Mr. Councilman Zine to join me because part of the crime that we're here to talk about today occurred in his district as well. It's interesting that we always have a good time when we bring in students and kids that really do wonderful things. It's rare that we get a chance to thank citizens for doing something extraordinary to preserve and protect our communities and step outside the role of being citizen and become law enforcement, basically. Sean Strickland and Jack Smith are receiving commendations today for doing just that. Interestingly enough, Sean Strickland is a resident of Orange County and has a business in Anaheim. In January 2008, he had tools taken from his truck, the tools of his trade, the things he makes his living with, stolen from his truck at a Home Depot in Fullerton. Same thing happened to him again in March in 2008 at another Home Depot. On the second occasion, the witness gave a description to Sean, and he proceeded to let the Orange County officials know that he had information dealing with the thefts, but nothing ever happened. So he decided to let fellow contractors throughout the county know that he had information on things that were being stolen from the contractors' vehicles while at Home Depots primarily, and got the information out to other people. Jack Smith, in March of that year, a fellow contractor, spotted the vehicle as described in a Garden Grove Home Depot, and later Sean Strickland spotted them again and followed them to several locations, including ending up here in the San Fernando Valley. All the way from Orange County, followed them up here, and followed them to numerous Home Depots, including North Hollywood, and later at the Roscoe Home Depot in Mr. Zine's district, Roscoe and Canoga. When he followed them, he then got videotape of them in the act of stealing tools from other vehicles, called 911, and followed them up to the Lowe's store in Northridge, where officers from Devonshire Division, my division, responded, and along with a helicopter of LAPD, took the suspects into custody, and with the assistance of both Jack Smith and Sean Strickland, we have now given the evidence to the police department. They proceeded the trial. It's interesting, these criminals had a long history of criminal activity like this, and we will see them in jail for a long time. With a strong support from our Devonshire Division detectives, the responding units from Devonshire Division, our air support unit, crimes that began in Orange County and progressed for months and months and months through Orange County into L.A. and then finally into the San Fernando Valley, came to an end because two citizens didn't want to be victims anymore. Because one citizen decided to follow them for, 40, 50 miles from Orange County while they committed their crimes, getting the evidence we would need then as police officers and as the city of L.A. to then take them to court and see if they go to jail for a very long time. And so I asked those citizens to come back from Orange County because that is extraordinary for any citizen to do. And I want to present on behalf of Mr. Zine, myself in particular, but in the city of Los Angeles in particular, our awards recognition for their extraordinary work as citizens above and beyond the call of duty. Mr. Zine, would you like to say a few words as a fellow officer?
Thank you. Thank you. What we have here is two gentlemen from another county that decide that they're not going to be ripped off, they're not going to be victims, and I want to acknowledge both of them. We have openings in the LAPD for full-time and also reserve officers, and both of you look like you're physically fit, so I think we could sign you up.
And nobody steals cops' guns.
And nobody steals cops' guns. But when it comes to this activity where you're a contractor, you go to Home Depot to purchase materials, you park your truck, and we see that happening all the Home Depots where the contractors, the workers park their vehicle, go get the tools, the equipment they need to do that job. So while you're in there shopping, these suspects are removing the items from your vehicles. And you're the one that took it upon yourself to spread the word?
Yes.
To the other contractors to say, you know what, we're all getting ripped off. Obviously, it was a group of people that were doing it, and the group was two individuals who've been apprehended by the good work of the LAPD. But without your activity, without your participation, they continue that trend. They continue committing those crimes. And if you look at Orange County and you look at the number of Home Depots and Lowe's and home improvement stores, there's so many, they never connect it. Right. And the activity that brought it together was your activity to save all those contractors, all that grief, all that aggravation, all those insurance claims, and to put these people where they belong in jail. And people who are viewing this need to understand, if you go to a Home Depot, you go to a Lowe's, you go to Home Improvement, you've got items in the truck, normally pickup trucks, secure that, because what happens is you've got these suspects, whether it's a saw or some other equipment, and then they're going to go out and either pawn it or go out there and do what they need to do. So, again, acknowledgement to both of you. You didn't risk your lives, and that's good. You used common sense. You used the phone. You did the follow. You got the videotape. So all the detectives have to do is present that to the prosecutors. The prosecutors present it. These people will cop out and go to state prison where they belong. And we've taken some bad guys off the street. So, again, congratulations to you. Hopefully you keep these resolutions in your car when you get stopped by the LAPD. They're going to know that you're on their side. And you get a warning instead of a citation, which is good. So, again, we are hiring LAPD, Reserve, and also Mr. Smith and I are both reserves with the LAPD. So if you guys want to do that, you know what? You can put undercover with that goatee, put you undercover, put you into high school as a young kid, and it'll all work. Again, congratulations to both of you. Thank you for the fine job.
Thank you. And finally, the people that are going to make sure this doesn't happen anymore, our detective from Devonshire Division, Detective Burdett.
I'll just say a few words. This case clearly illustrates the importance of citizen involvement in solving crime, and I was tasked with, after the arrest, of doing the investigation into the background on these two suspects. And what I found was that who Sean and Jack basically apprehended with our help were two career criminals who, when we look back on their background, they had a very unique MO where they were targeting home improvement store trucks for tools dating back all the way back to 2006. And they had committed similar crimes both as crime partners and with other partners in the city of Costa Mesa and Orange County and in Glendale and obviously in our jurisdiction. One other point I'd like to make here is that what's really important for detectives in follow-up and what citizens can do as far as their property is that it's real important to engrave your, identifying mark in your stolen property and to register, especially power tools, with Craftsman or whoever by serial number so that we're able to do follow-up and identify the property. Because in one of these cases, we were not able to identify the victim because the party did not come forward and report the crime to the police, and we were not able to track the property. But these suspects were responsible for countless thefts. They were career criminals. They were on a crime spree, both in Orange County and LA County. And I'd like to personally thank Sean and Jack from the LAPD and the citizens of LA for your extraordinary efforts in helping with this arrest and halting a crime spree. Thank you.
And how many cases do you think would have been cleared by this?
We're actually still working on it.
Long list, a long list. Anyway, thanks very much to these citizens. Even though they're not citizens of LA, we're very proud of you, and thank you very much for your participation in bringing crime doing in here in Los Angeles. And come on anytime you want. You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
And Mr. Cardenas, would you like to add your good wishes?
Yeah, I'd like to ask one of the gentlemen if you could comment on your opinion. I want to make sure that the people watching this and applauding you as well, because this is people are able to see this in their homes right now as we speak. And some of these vehicles that they might steal stuff from, we're not just talking about a few $100s worth of equipment. It could end up being thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment that they could take out of a truck in just a few minutes, correct?
I lost approximately $12,000 in tools in two instances, and it was less than 5 minutes per instance.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for clarifying that. And it could even be more sometimes. Sometimes they might have some specialty equipment that's even hard to get. It might take months for them to order this stuff, and somebody steals it. And what's even worse, they might even not know what to do with it, and then it might end up in the trash. It's just a tragedy all the way around. But one of the things I want to thank you personally on behalf of all the small and large businesses that you've helped into the future, because these people have now been apprehended, is that sometimes it's this kind of theft that actually breaks a company, especially if it's a small company. A company just might have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of equipment on their truck. It might be a 1 or 2 truck company. And for them to lose that, sometimes they actually look at the situation, and then that's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and they just say, forget it, I'm closing my doors. And there might be 5 or 6 or 10 families that work for that business that are now just all out of work. So I just want to say thank you very much for the work that you did. We talked a lot about the visible things that happen in this situation, but I think it's important for people to understand how far far-reaching your activity was and the thing that you did that has actually saved dozens and dozens of jobs over the coming years, perhaps hundreds of jobs. If these guys, it sounds like these guys are pretty successful in the past in doing these bad activities.
Yeah.
Just think, had they not been apprehended in a given year, they may have affected hundreds and hundreds of families who now are either out of work or having to get laid off or what have you, or businesses closing down because they would have still been on the street. So thank you very much for coming into Los Angeles and doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Without objection, I know because of time constraints, we'll take up item 25, and then we'll come back for our public comment right after that. So I'd like to ask our commissioner to come on forward to the desk, if you'd be kind enough. And I know we're expecting Mr. Labange a little bit later, whose committee this went through, but maybe you could share with us a little bit what you've been able to accomplish and your interest in doing it one more time.
Thank you very much, President Garcetti and council members. I would just say for the past 3 years, I've had the pleasure of serving on the Library Commission and this past year as president. And what has been striking to me has been the very, very warm reception and support that the public libraries receive from the citizens. And I would say to all of you that I know your task as council members is very, very difficult because you run into all kinds of problems in the city of transportation and zoning and housing and all kinds of issues. But the one issue that you don't have to worry about is the support that the public has for the libraries. I have been very impressed over the last 3 years of how much the libraries are used and how much benefit they provide for the citizens and how much supplemental support they also give to our local school districts. The schools have been very, very pleased with the work and the cooperation that we've had with the libraries. So it really does make a big difference in the city, and I am absolutely thrilled to have the small responsibility of working with my fellow commissioners in making sure that we set the right policies and move the library in the direction that is of benefit to our citizens.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your service and your comments. Any council members wishing to heard? Mr. Zine first.
I just wanted to acknowledge that there were a whole group of people out there who were sending us emails regarding the budget
Right.
and how they were going to reduce the hours, the days, et cetera. We listened to them. The mayor listened to them. Everything's been restored. So on the Library Commission, doing a great job. And I've always said we either educate or we incarcerate, and it's much better to educate. You've been doing that for so many years. So congratulations. You're not retired. You've just taken another role as the librarian for the city of Los Angeles. So congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. I would say that that issue of the budget was one that was very difficult for the commissioners, and we wanted to do our part to help the city in dealing with the financial problems that we had this past year and that we're looking forward to in the next year. And so that was really a challenge to take a look at what we could do in our small way to support that.
Thank you. Ms. Gruhl?
Thank you. I know this next year is going to have some changes in the library department with Fontaine leaving. And the leadership of the commission, I think, is going to be critically important, and appreciate you, as we said, you're really never giving up on your work. But from your perspective, I mean, we think Fontaine has been a fabulous general manager of that department, both in the bond, she was really responsible during that period of time where we spent the money on the bonds. It was, under budget. We were able to build 2 additional libraries or rehab 2 additional libraries based on that. What are the kind of qualities you think would be important in a new general manager for the library department?
Well, I think it's going to be critical that that person really understand the role that the libraries play in the city of Los Angeles. It's a department that could be easily overlooked if you're somebody that's not familiar with how much it's used and the impact that it makes. So I think that's one critical issue. The other thing is for somebody to really understand the city of Los Angeles, because as we all know, it is a big city, and there are all kinds of nuances to each of the different neighborhoods that or the council districts that you represent. So it's going to have to be somebody who really can see the big picture and how the library fits in with the other departments of the city, and also obviously somebody with some experience. But I would say that one of the saving graces we have, even with Fontaine leaving, is that the library staff that is there now works very well together, very cohesive. Gladys Sinek is here with me today, who is the executive assistant to the commissioners, or commissioner executive assistant, and she's just one of the people that helps everything in the library hold together. So while losing Fontaine is going to be very difficult for us, I think having the staff that we have in the library will help the continuity very, very much as we look for a new person.
Great. And I want to echo what Mr. Zine said. I mean, we had a lot of emails, probably the most emails and telephone calls on the library, which, in some ways is not unusual, but on the other hand, it's not a group that comes down and, pounds the table and all of that, but is one that cares about it, people who go to that library every single day. And as someone who's a frequent library user, I know that it is important, and particularly for our children. So I just want to thank you for that piece of it. And as we go forward, the budget next year is not going to be any better. And I know that the Library Foundation, the Library Department is an example, I think, of where they've tried to help get some private dollars as well to support the library, but also understanding the basic foundation of what we should do as an elected official and as a city is to ensure that we have enough services and funds for our library department. So we look forward to, as we begin looking at the budget now, not waiting till April of next year, as to how we can address some of those concerns. So we look forward to your input as well,
all right, thank you.
And your leadership as we go forward with a new general manager sometime in the future. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, followed by Mr. Weezer and Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you. And as a resident of the 12th District, we're really proud of you, particularly what you did at the college, particularly, but also on the Board of Library Commissioners. One thing I just wanted to bring to your attention that came up in a lot of discussions talked about the budget this year. We had before us the budget cuts were reducing library hours, eliminating Sunday hours, the regional libraries, and cutting book purchases, all of which were counterproductive to the library system. We resolved those issues, but one thing we did have a long discussion about is that our neighborhood councils, some 88 of them in the city, have a surplus of about $6 million in their bank accounts. Some of them have $150,000, and the average neighborhood council has $101,000 in their bank account and have not spent it. We actually thought about taking some of that money and putting it in the library to solve some of those issues and decided not to do that. But I bring this up because I think it's very important for the Commission to go out and create those linkages with the community and ask those neighborhood councils to sponsor local branches. It would be very appropriate for the Northridge neighborhood councils to sponsor the Northridge Library and see to it that they get an extra $1,000, $2,000 for books or whatever dedicated to that branch, helping that branch be more prosperous and more beneficial to the community. And so I'd ask you to go back to the Commission and explore that option. We set that up a couple years ago here. There's actually a brochure on it for neighborhood councils on how to go about sponsoring these events and giving money to city departments. So I think there's a tremendous amount of ability out there that the libraries are a natural tie to, and that's in our neighborhood council systems. I hope you go back, talk to your fellow commissioners, and maybe develop a program of outreach to the neighborhood councils to get them to sponsor the local libraries. Some have sponsored fire stations or police stations, but I don't think any have sponsored a library. And there's a lot of gold to be mined out there. So
thank you. That is a very good idea. We haven't had that discussion. We have been working with the foundation, as you know, to find additional funding to supplement what the city provides the library, but we had not made that connection. Most of the libraries do have friends groups, but those do need to be expanded because not all the libraries have friends groups, and so combining it with neighborhood councils is a very good idea, and I'd be more than happy to take that back to the Commission and we can engage in that discussion. Thank you.
And I know with your success at the college and your previous success, we'll find a great solution to all these issues. Thank you so much for serving. You're a great asset to our city and to my district in particular.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weezer, and then Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and it's great to see someone with your background in education be on this commission. It's a great fit. I have a general question. What do you think the status of our libraries are throughout the city of Los Angeles today, or just a comparison to other cities if we even have one? What do you think our overall state of our libraries are in the city?
I am consistently advised by the library folks that we have one of the best systems in the country. I think the ability that we've had in the last few years to provide new libraries and to provide the extended hours has been very, very helpful. The foundation connection has been very good because it's been enabled us to provide a lot of opportunities for teens, homework online. We do those both in English and Spanish. We have the homework help. We have opportunities for students to take SAT exams, and all of those services are provided that really do help especially the local school K through 12 students. In terms of the status of the libraries, I think one of the things that we talked a little bit about this past year was making sure that all of the libraries have the kind of support they need in terms of security for the libraries. That discussion has come up a couple of times, and that's one of the things we're looking at. But as a system, we're pretty good. I think that the one area where we fall down, we have the great facilities, but maintaining the budget to have all of the resources can become problematic. Not only just having books, but also the electronic resources, because more and more resources are coming online, and those get to become expensive. Also, keeping all the computers up and the software that's needed. So that is the challenge, and is going to continue to be the challenge for the city to keep everything state of the art.
And we're in a place right now where I have heard from other people familiar with our library system that we are in a very good place, but that doesn't mean we should neglect it. We should be very aware, because we want to stay there or even improve it. And if we allow ourselves not to fund where we need to fund the library system or take our eye away from it, we will go in a place where we're going to say we once had a great thing and we've lost it. So let's definitely keep our eye on it. And I agree with you. In fact, my other question, if I may, Council President, is how do we work with our schools in coordinating the needs of kids? Not just, do we coordinate with that, like a local library? Do they work with a local school at all, or are we separate doing our own thing?
One of the pleasures we've had as commissioners is we spent the last year going around to the different libraries, and that is a question that the commissioners, I will tell you, always ask. And each of the librarians has a relationship with the local schools. We receive a list of each of the high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools in the area of that particular library. And there is a librarian that goes to both the high school as well as the middle schools and elementary schools to invite them to come. So they do come and visit. They do participate in activities in the libraries. Several of the libraries have high school ambassadors that come and work and volunteers in the library. We're also looking for future librarians, and so that's our sneaky little way of making sure that students become familiar with how a library operates. Not just that you come and use the resources, but how does the library operate? When the books come in, they get cataloged, they get on shelves. How does all that work? So it's our way of maybe providing some future librarians. But we do, as commissioners, always maintain and ask those questions about what is the connection, how often do the school children come and visit, what do you do in terms of going out to the schools. I think the homework assistance has been very, very helpful, as I mentioned. So we do monitor that connection with the local school districts. I mean, local schools, not just the district, because it really is a neighborhood kind of thing, because every library has its own nuances, and the schools are different, and so it really is a connection from that neighborhood to that library.
Well, thank you for your service. You've done a great job in the community colleges and your activism throughout the city, so I thank you for that as well, and all that knowledge is well served here through the Library Commission, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you, Tyree, for all of your efforts and service at the Community College District and running our college here in the Valley. And thank you for retiring, because now we have more of your free time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, one of the things I'd like to ask you is, when it comes to public safety, I know we had some issues over the last months about some activities that spilled over in and around our libraries, and we had to work closer with our general services police to make sure that we had the right kind of coverage for the libraries that had those incidents. How is that coming along, and what can we do as policymakers to make sure that we solidify that and protect and make sure that our libraries are as safe as possible?
Okay, well, let me start off by saying that our libraries, for the most part, are very safe. We've had some random incidents here and there, but it is something that I think we absolutely have to be aware of. These are public facilities. They are open. They're open to the public to come in, and anytime you have that situation, I think you have to be mindful of what can happen. And so in terms of what I personally would like to see is probably a lot more staff in that area, but I know that may not be financially feasible. But I think it's something that we in the Commission are going to continue to watch. Having served as a president at a public community college that is an open campus that anybody can walk on any time, we all know it is something that we need to be aware of. So we are mindful of it. I don't know how to solve the problem totally without putting all the dollars that I would like to see put into it, but we are working with the Librarians Guild, and we're working with the staff in the libraries in terms of how to respond, making sure that each librarian has a connection with the local, whatever the closest local law enforcement agency is, and they know how to get those resources to them as fast as they can. But believe me, it is something that I am very concerned about, and will do everything I can to keep it on a front burner. Not to say that there are a lot of problems, but I think when you ignore things, they can become a problem.
Okay, thank you. It's good to know that the education amongst the staff at our facilities is getting much better as far as understanding who to call, when to call, and what jurisdictions are going to be there to help them should an incident occur. An additional thing that we're very, very proud of is that our libraries have wireless internet.
Yes.
And that's something that came about back in the day before the state legislature decided to change the communication laws in the state of California, where it was Time Warner was generous enough to add that to the kinds of things that they were willing to do for the city of Los Angeles. That might be going away. We don't know. It's up to Time Warner's generosity. Things have changed. There are other players in those same communities that haven't stepped up. What is the Library Commission or the Library Department doing to try to make sure we continue that service?
Well, it is one that the public is very, very concerned about. They are very interested in making sure they have that access. So it is on our agenda, as that we have in our strategic plan a technology initiative. And in that technology initiative, that is one of the things that's outlined, is maintaining the wireless access for everyone, as well as maintaining the appropriate software and what we call e-information or e-resources that are online, that are national and international resources, making sure that we have all those together. So the strategic plan for the library for this year does include trying to maintain all of those resources.
Okay, so the bottom line is you're aware that there might be a shift and some resources might have to be brought to bear to keep that standard of service?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. First, I want to thank you for all the hard work you do.
Thank you.
I know I've been to several commission meetings in the neighborhoods, in Cypress Park, in Pico Union, and I truly appreciate your presence there. It says a lot about connecting the local parents, the local youngsters, with decision makers, commissioners who play such a strong role in the quality of our service. I did want to ask you, though, in terms of our connecting with monolingual communities and inspiring and connecting with parents, what is in the strategic plan? Is there any focus in trying to stimulate those relationships? We know many of them are single parents, many of them are working 2 jobs. There's a reason why the gang culture gets as strong as it can get. And the libraries are right in the middle, a lot of this energy. Are we doing anything more that would allow us to bring these parents to the fore and actually connect with the library for all the services it has to offer?
Absolutely. I would say that you are very fortunate to have a 5-member commission who has that as a top priority. We consistently look to see what services are provided in terms of bilingual services for in several different languages for the community that the library resides in. And that's, again, it's a community-based program for our libraries. The Homework Online is, like I mentioned, is a bilingual program where it's done in English and Spanish. We also have numerous activities, again, depending upon the library, where parents are invited in. I think the area that we need to look at is evening issues. And when I say evening, many of the activities are provided during the day, and that's great for parents that are able to come during the day. But we really need to experiment with being there in the evenings more and having a few more evening programs. For example, commission meetings are held during the day, which is great for parents that can get there during the day. But for our working parents, it's problematic. And I did discuss with Fontaine the possibility of occasionally doing some of our commission meetings in the evenings, so those parents that are working can come and see what's going on in the library and meet with the commissioners. And that's something that we're going to look at doing next year.
Well, again, thank you so much for your hard work. I'm glad to hear that corporations like Time Warner are stepping up and they are still there. For now, is it a year-to-year situation with them, or?
No, I don't think it's year to year. I think the contract or the agreement we had was like probably about 3, but I think that's the one that we're looking at now that may be ending. So we have to go take a look at that. I'm not sure of the exact timeline.
Well, there's a way to enhance that relationship and perhaps find other entities that can complement what Time Warner does. I think that would be something that would help us support an evening program,
Okay.
find ways to expand it. But it's something I'd love to explore,
Okay.
especially in the hot summer months that are coming with the minimal jobs that are occurring
Right.
and the cutbacks that we're suffering. I think the library is going to play a pivotal role in how we absorb that energy that happens in the evenings in our summertime.
Okay. Well, two things. I did have a conversation with Dean Leavenworth from Time Warner, and he definitely is interested in doing what he can to continue the relationship. I know things are kind of up in the air right now. And secondly, I will say as part of our strategic plan, along with the mayor's concerns about gang prevention, that is included in our strategic plan as well. We spent a lot of time on it. It's pretty thorough. It covers a lot of concerns that the city had that we wanted to make sure we incorporated in the library strategic plan, that it matched what the city, what all of you were working on.
Great. Again, thank you so much for service. And I can't say enough about Fontaine. She's been an amazing, amazing public servant and the steward of a very large historical building development program. And her legacy will live on for many years. And I'll continue to say thank you to Fontaine and her crew. Thank you
Okay,
so
I
much.
will relay the message.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Labange.
Very much, Member. Sorry for being late. I want to congratulate you. Thank you. I want to let you know I'm up to date. I have no overdue books.
Oh, good.
So I want to thank you for what you do above and beyond your great service in education and the important component of the community colleges. Your work on helping Mission get started, and then your great leadership out at Valley. So I'm just proud the mayor saw the vision to reappoint you, and count on me, whatever I could do to help. Because it is about the libraries. And I will tell you, as you know, if you go to any library any day of the week, any time of the day, it's buzzing with people who are trying to get the information, the knowledge, and the power to make their lives better. So I just want to thank you, and you're a beautiful person, and I'm proud of you, and I'm glad you turned in another chapter. I hate to see you leave Valley, but I'm glad it's because life is today, and you did a great job. So we'll talk to you more about that later.
Okay.
Congratulations. I say an aye vote, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon.
Hi, Terry.
Hello.
I want to ditto all the positive comments that have been said about you. We've known each other for 20 years or so, and so in several different capacities, we've worked together on many, many projects, and I'm very excited that we have this opportunity to have you on our library commission. But one of the biggest problems facing Los Angeles is the problem of literacy, and as much as the library department provides services, the issue of literacy is secondary to their mission of simply providing materials and opportunities. And I would like to see literacy be front and center with an aggressive strategic agenda out of the library department. In fact, I would like to see the library department's name changed to Library and Literacy Department of Library and Literacy. But and I made that proposal. But I would like to get your take as an educator on what role the library department might take. And I know I'm catching you sort of off guard without letting you know. What role might the library department take in terms of actually developing an aggressive strategic agenda to be a participant in reducing illiteracy in Los Angeles and increasing literacy?
Well, I would say the library isn't your daddy's library, just like the Buick isn't your daddy's Buick. We have moved forward from being a passive entity for the city of Los Angeles. And the literacy component is absolutely critical. As you know, we have literacy centers in several of the libraries throughout the city, and we work with the literacy network to expand that. We have volunteers that come in, but what you're asking is, can we be more proactive? Can we go outside of the library to bring people in as opposed to waiting for them to come to us? And that is something to consider. You know, obviously that requires staff time to get out there, but we're looking at ways in which we can and use other entities to help us. Councilmember Smith, I think, mentioned neighborhood groups that we can work with, as well as the Friends of the Library. So we need to engage them to bring more folks to us that have literacy needs. But I agree with you, the literacy piece is critical. If people can't read, you know what happens, then we run into all the other problems, and that's why in our strategic plan, we specifically talked about gang prevention and making the library a part of that. But aside from the gang prevention, just helping those individuals who haven't had the opportunity to learn to read to have that skill brought to them. So it's something we can look at about how we can be more aggressive out to get people into us. But you know, it is one of our strategic initiatives to expand our literacy programs now.
Yes, I guess to clarify, as an educational administrator, you know where the statistics are. You know how to get that information. We know we can track where the literacy is, and I would like for at least to see some pilot projects on how to more aggressively and proactively, as you say, address problems of illiteracy, to see if we can reduce illiteracy in strategic areas. And I just want to partner with you and the library to make that happen.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll put that on the agenda because I think it is important. And sometimes libraries, even though it's a family-friendly, wonderful place, for some members of our community, it's still a formal place, and some of them are concerned about making that trip in. So I do understand that we need to go to them and let them know how important it is for them to come to us.
Thank you. That is our last council member. So let's go ahead and, before we open the roll, have one public comment card. Zuma Dog, if you'd like to come forward on item 25. And then we'll be going to general public comment just after this.
Yes, thank you. First of all, congratulations. I'm sure you'll be appointed. My name's Zuma Dog. You might have seen me on KCAL 9 News election coverage for political analysis. They called me. It was quite exciting. And I'll be running for mayor, so hopefully we'll be working together as well. Libraries are very important. They're the great equalizer of society, and I recognize that. As a blogger who's done a majority of my blogging within libraries, I'm here to say, you know, they got free computers there with internet access, and I've noticed, you see my laptops right here, now libraries have Wi-Fi, I do believe, especially all over the place. And I also agree about the evening hours, okay, possibly even if it means closing the libraries earlier, maybe opening up closer to 2 or 3 when the kids get out, if you have to extend on some days. That would be good because I noticed that. And also, I'd like to talk to you about my favorite book, and I hope that it's in all libraries. It's called Out of the Crisis by Dr. W. Edwards Deming. And I would also urge all council members to read this, and if you'd like a review of the book to make sure it's included, it's available on my website, zoomatimes.com. I consider myself quite a fan of Dr. W. Edwards Deming. Have you heard of him? You have heard of him. Immediate appointment. I support the appointment. You'd be surprised. You know, Dr. Deming is the forefather of quality management, methods of management of quality and productivity, innovation. He went over and taught the Japanese how to build such quality products and services after the war when Japan was in crisis. He taught them how to build the electronics, the cars, and all the products that were imported that we ended up buying. We lost manufacturing, and it's a 14-point system, breaking down departments, taking away the things that rob workers of pride and dignity, working together. Instead of saying I work for this department, that department, you say I work for the city of Los Angeles, and it's something that we all need to read. Please go to zoomatimes.com. Very important, and I support this person for commissioner because she knows Dr. Deming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dog. That will close our public comment on that one. Thank you, Mr. Dog. Make sure we get that to one of the sergeants at arms. Appreciate your comments. Go ahead and open the roll on the nomination. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. We'll send that forthwith without objection. And 20 and 21, also forthwith without objection. We have 12 members. If we could take up the ordinances we held on the table, please, except for 34 and 52.
Mr. President, that would be 12 through 16, 27 through 33, and item 54.
All right. Please open the roll. Close the roll. And tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, those are approved. We'll go to public comment now. We'll begin with Donna Pearman, who is our first speaker. After that will be Zuma Dog, and then we'll go to downtown, and Rick Tuttle will be our third speaker. Good morning, Ms. Pearman.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Garcetti. Glad to see you. Anyway, I'd like to thank the council for having the meeting and Van Nuys on my day off, so I don't have to take off to be here. Anyway, I have a lot to cover. First, I believe the city employees shouldn't be furloughed. We don't need any layoffs of non-essential city employees. Need to have an income just as hotel workers you support so much get. You get an automatic raise every July. You get your retirement after 12 years, a full retirement, yet most people have to wait 25 to 30 years and don't even get full retirement. It's not right. And some of our bigwigs get to have more than one retirement. And most people don't get to have more than one retirement. They get penalized. And let's see. I don't like that the Habitat for Humanity are allowing housing that people won't be able to afford the payments. You're not helping them if you give them something they can't hold. It's degrading when they lose it or get way over their head. They need to bring back programs like CETA. That was a very good program. It helped me out, and it teaches disabled how to work. You tell people how to take public transit, but it's very difficult for the physically disabled. First, the seats are too small. It's a one-size-fits-all. People had to stand at bus stops. A lot of benches were taken away, especially the Rapid buses. They're crowded. Good luck to even get a seat. I'm sure to have a hard time holding on to the top rail, even with the straps and going around West L.A. My ride from Westwood to Wilshire to La Brea was a horror. Public transit access is not reliable. My two friends couldn't take public transit. With the city stealing our money, with the CRA and the Grand Avenue projects, it's not right to keep raising our fees like DWP, our water rights, our water tax, our trash, our phone tax, electric, gas, our gasoline and our cars going way up, and it's not going down. Our city is falling apart, and Channel 35 is letting our council members are having their photo moments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zuma Dog is our next speaker, and after that we'll go to downtown, and we'll hear from Rick Tuttle.
Yes, thank you. Valley Doll, by the way, she couldn't be here, but she thanks you for being here and wishes she was here. Council, the Venice Beach, boy, big problems. I think that you're not going to be able to enforce anything. The city attorney was down there oh boy. How's this for activism? I came on TV complaining about the problems at Venice Beach. Mark Brown was down there the same week with the people I was complaining about taking a stroll up and down. So I appreciate that. But it's really not about being 1 or 2 inches over the line. It's about the counterfeit merchandise that's being sold in the stores. Okay, so I'd like to see the LAPD more concerned with the bootleg counterfeit merchandise that is robbing the coffers. You might have seen me on KCAL 9, CBS News, election night. That's right, I got the call. They needed somebody for political analysis on election night. It must have looked like Ron Burgundy or a Saturday Night Live. I said, yes, it's true. I was behind the news anchor desk, and I appreciate that. And so, the other thing with this new Zuma Dog shirt is I walk around town, especially Venice, the Zuma Dog as a mayor, it might be kind of a joke, but really I'm finding out it's not a joke, and I think that the news media needs to do some market research, put the name Zuma Dog in there with any other candidate. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a runoff if I don't just take it. This sounds crazy, but I bet if the name Zuma Dog makes it on the ballot, it's going to be shockwaves, y'all. You're going to have the first mayor with the cap and sunglasses on at all times. So, I'd like to say, since I might be working with council, by the way, I think there's a lot of great people in the city. As mayor, I spoke about Dr. W. Edwards Deming, and I mean that very much, because there's a lot of great people forced to do bad things. Like I just saw Jerry Miller, for example, the chief legislative analysis person. He writes up all these shady things. And I said, gee, Jerry, you do such great work. I know that, if I was mayor, I'd have you be writing it for the good things instead of the shady things. So that's what it's all about. Go to Zuma Times. I ran out of time. ZumaTimes.com for more.
We'll next go thank you, Mr. Dog. We'll go next to Rick Tuttle, our former city controller, who is downtown for public comment there. Very good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President and members of the council. I'm here today in my capacity as a member of the Proposition Q Citizens Oversight Committee, which, as you know, is the Police and Fire Safety Bond. And we're aware that a report will be coming to council tomorrow from the Administrative Oversight Committee, but those of us on the Citizens Oversight Committee wanted to make our comments today in order to help frame some of the issues for you for your questions tomorrow. Overall, the Proposition Q projects have been going well. By the way, you received a letter from us dated June 2nd to Mayor and members of the Council. I'm basically paraphrasing from that letter, but wanted to have this discussion in public as befits a member of the Citizens Oversight Committee. The city is on schedule and on budget for most of the construction and repair projects. However, there are some new and continuing issues which we believe require the attention of Mayor and Council. They are as followed. One, we are concerned that the fire department renovation program is not progressing as rapidly as it should, that many of the renovations will not be completed by the deadline stated by the language in the Prop Q ballot, which is March of 2009. It's actually in the supporting document, not the ballot language. City attorney tells us that it's legal to continue the work. We think we can meet a higher standard and meet what was in the supporting language and get these projects completed by March of 2009. We believe there's still time for the city to successfully and timely complete these fire renovations, but the department and the fire department and the Bureau of Engineering need to give this more focus and more attention. Call on the council leadership, and the mayor to give this some focus. Let's be successful with this project. It'll be finished, repeat, in March of 2009 if we're successful. We also need resolution on ownership issues regarding the police academy. Need to straighten that out, and either, may I have an extension of about a minute and a half?
Thank you very much, Mr. Tuttle. If you can wrap things up, please. We try to keep it as fair as possible, but go ahead and take a couple seconds just to finish the
All right. Then we also are concerned about the decision to build the new Northeast Police Station, which is on your, which may very well come before you, will be built by funds that have been made possible by savings from this program. And we invite your scrutiny, because if there's not adequate budget for Northeast, then you may very well have to go into the general fund to complete this project. The good news is there is some overage money available. And the last issue, Mr. President, members of the council, is that we've become aware of the fact that with Prop Q money, most of the new police facilities have the capacity to mount a great many surveillance cameras. And we call on the mayor and the council to adopt a citywide policy when it comes to surveillance cameras, not just to do it piecemeal. Someday we may wake up and find that we already have over 100 such cameras, hundreds and hundreds of cameras across this city. And in a democracy, we think it's best to have that debate in a post-9/11 environment, but nonetheless with 1984 in mind, to have that debate.
Thank you, Mr. Tuttle.
In terms of how many cameras we need. Thank you, Mr. President.
Appreciate it. And we just got back from Chicago looking at their camera system, and we just recently had meetings on that exact policy, so we'll make sure to loop you into that for a citywide debate and system on that as well. Just a reminder to all speakers, we have a clock at both podiums in City Hall and here for 2 minutes per speaker. We do try to keep that as consistent as possible, to be as fair as possible to all members of the public, but we very much appreciate your comments, Mr. Controller. Candido Mares is our next speaker here in the chambers in Van Nuys, and then we'll go back downtown to Hugo Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for holding this meeting today. I know that July 4th is falling on a Friday, so we will not have a meeting next month. Is that correct? I just want to make sure, because there were some people here on Friday.
That is correct. That's why we insisted on doing this one today.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I hope the public knows that. That's why I'm wearing my colorful red, white, and blue Guy Gabaldon tie. This is in honor of Mr. Guy Gabaldon, who honored us here a few years ago. If you remember, he was a great veteran of World War II who helped capture, I believe, over 1,200 Japanese. Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for opening up Northridge Park. You don't know what it meant for the kids of the area. People think that Northridge is a very rich area, but you know what? There are a lot of people in need, and our parks are very important to our kids. And you showed people that day that even at your age, you can have a lot of fun by jumping in the pool. So thank you very much. Also, if you've been watching DWP meetings, and Ms. Hahn, I know you'll this will be of interest. The department is now capturing 95% of all vendor discounts. And if you recall, back when we brought that issue before you, back in a few years ago, they were only capturing 54%. So now, within only a few months, Mr. Nahive has brought that up to 95%. That's going to mean millions for the residents of the city of Los Angeles. So, again, I want to thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you in August. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go back downtown to Hugo Pacheco, and then we'll hear from Atun Ray. Mr. Pacheco, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm here to ask you to please postpone the elections for the Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council this Thursday. It's a very sad situation to come down here and have to complain to you about the city clerk and their inability to go ahead and do a good election. We have a situation where absentee ballots have been sent out in 1, 2, 3 envelopes. Some of these envelopes don't have explanations on them. We were assured there were going to be bilingual explanations on there. They're not. You can't even stuff the ballots because there's 16 pieces of paper in order to be able to get 25 candidates on a neighborhood council. You should be ashamed. The city clerk should be ashamed. Yesterday we went to tell them and complain, and all they could tell us was that they were calling people. We said, no, they're not calling people. This morning I received a call and said, oh, yes, now we are calling people, but we're going to send them a letter explaining what went wrong, and everything's fine. Not everything is fine. If you really believe in the neighborhood council system, if you really believe that they can advise you, then you have to make sure that the people that get elected are the people that represent the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Atun Ray is our next speaker, also downtown.
President Garcia and council members, is again honored to have some words with you. The first thing I'd like to do is to ask the council to work with council member Zine to get his motion brought before the whole council and before the city so that we can fairly discuss SB 40 and Jamil's law that's trying to be put on a ballot at some point. And in terms of comments, just recently, I learned of the trip that the mayor and the police chief were taking to Israel. I think it's a very ill-timed trip, especially due to the budget cuts that are going on in our city. I think this money could have been better spent at home. I don't buy the idea that we can learn from Israel as far as security. America is the greatest country of the world. And I think they can learn from us in terms of security. So I think we should have kept our money here at home. And then also, I live in L.A., along the Crenshaw area, and what I've noticed for quite some time is that the city work crews seem to be composed of mostly Latino. And again, I'm not against that, other than in our communities, it's causing tension because of there's deep unemployment. So we're wondering why it's maybe the supervisor and all the workers are Latino, and in the black community you don't see very many of the black workers included on these city work crews repairing streets and etc. So we'd like for the council to address that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ray. We'll come back here to Van Nuys. Don Schultz will be our next speaker, and then Susan Rocha.
Thank you, Mr. President. Don Schultz, community activist here in Van Nuys. Council members, this Friday you're going to be voting on an issue regarding Van Nuys Airport and Bob Hope Airport. I don't see the city attorney trying to stop me in speaking on this issue right now, but it is a non-agenda item today. I'm asking you, please, on Friday to oppose the proposal by Bob Hope Airport to divert nighttime flights to Van Nuys Airport between the hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. This will double the noise at Van Nuys Airport as it is right now if this is ultimately approved by the FAA. Your position on this is monumental. The Department of Airports has already taken a position against this. That's LAWA. we hope that on Friday, your position will mirror that position. And I look forward to testifying before you again on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Look forward to it as well. Susan Rocha is next, and then after that is Sharon Brewer. Is Susan Rocha here? Okay, Sharon Brewer, if you'd like to come forward.
Sharon Brewer, thank you for coming to my chambers. Sharon Brewer, public comment. City council members continue to deplete the city's general fund by approving special event fee waivers 3 times a week, every month. Special event fee waivers for 11 months, July 2007 to May 2008, over $5,418,540. That's 987 events. 3 days in June, you have 35 with amounts, $505,730, over $500,000 in 3 days. Again, I remind the city council members that the fiscal policy regarding fee waivers is from time to time, council may decide to waive fees when it can be demonstrated that a direct public benefit can be obtained. These policies are not intended to replace or supersede the revenue policy stating that sufficient user charges and fees will be pursued and levied to support full cost of operations for which fees are charged. What happened about full cost recovery for services rendered? 11 months of waiving 987 events in the amount of $5,418,540 is unacceptable. City Council approved increasing trash fees starting September 1st, 2008, $10 a month to recover actual costs for the city to provide sanitation and recycling services. This increase was supposed to help free up general fund money used to pay for collecting the trash and for other services. City council members, how can you justify the increase to the public when you have continued to deplete in 11 months the general fund by over $5 million? The public should not be asked to pay $10 a month for trash collection until the city council stops draining the city fund by approving special event fee waivers. Thank you.
All right, next speaker is Rick Nightingale, and after that is Eileen Russell. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Rick Nightingale. I've been here numerous of times, and I don't know if you heard me or not, but I would like to turn around, and I'd like to know when there's going to be a town meeting with council people. I would like to get and talk, not ask questions. I want to listen to you, to what your views are of different things. He has my card, my address, my phone number. Call me anytime. I'll come anytime. Especially about, we'll go back to town meetings. I'd like to know it. I'd like to know, the mayor says we're supposed to have in 20 years 500,000 more people in the valley. I'd like to know where they're going to be. What's your idea about it? It's early for you, but we got a plan. I'd like to know what is going to be about the police department. I want to know what the penalties are. They have a real gravy train going. I wanted to be a fireman, I told you. But when you do stupid things like they do, there has to be a penalty. I believe in a warning. But the second time, it's time. It's a big time to make money, to lose money. Like a month off, 3 months off. That hurts, because that cost him out of his pocketbook, and his family's paying now. We're not paying, he's paying. The other thing was the mortal sin of the valley, one of them, drag racing. I want to know what your idea is. I mentioned about one drag strip on Terminal Island. Another one could be at Van Norman's Dam. These are street cars, not drag cars. Ones that pass the ordinance, when you go down the street, you are muffled. You do not raise a lot of noise. Just like the police guards that are running down that track. That's the cars they'll be. How many people would that get off the streets in drag racing? I'd like to sit down and talk to you about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nightingale. Just to address, I know there are dozens of town hall meetings that collectively the council has. If you want to call any of the individual council offices, or you can see those, they're usually posted on our websites at lacity.org. And also on the drag racing, there was quite a bit of legislation that was passed in recent years. Our city clerk ombudsperson, who is here exactly for questions like this from the public, is available in the city clerk's office to help answer any of those questions. So there's a couple places to go and to pursue that further. Eileen Russell is our next speaker.
Good morning. Hi. This is my first time here in the chambers in Van Nuys, and I don't see CD6 here. I'm not sure who else can help me, but I just have a lot of concerns as a patron and regular walker at Lake Balboa with ongoing issues there. My husband and I have been walking there for many years, and things have been deteriorating over there. My biggest complaint is I really feel like we need a board to help regulate things because of ongoing issues. There's safety issues. There's wildlife issues with the fishing, even with the model boats. Some of the biggest things is that people are not following the rules, and the park staff isn't able to get around and correct them either. And when my husband and I are walking, we feel like we have to be the ones to correct and educate the public on not feeding in certain areas, not feeding the wildlife at all, not fishing in certain areas, not putting the model boats in certain areas because there's places to do all this. And my husband and I have even helped in the rescue of wildlife when we've grown so concerned. We helped with the brown pelican rescue last year. Also, there's been bicycles and skateboards, roller skaters on the bike path, all kinds of safety issues constantly, and it's not my job to be correcting. But when you're there all the time and there's no one to help you, you feel like you have to do it. And I'm running to the park staff a lot, telling them what's going on. And one of the other things that really concerns my husband and I just recently is the Bull Creek Restoration Project. We were not warned about this at all, and we were taking a walk before Memorial Day, and the fence went up and blocked our way going around without no warning. We didn't know why. It took me a while to find out that it was due to that. I sent an email. I don't see CD6 here. I sent an email to the deputy, and I've gotten no response regarding this and how long it's going to take and why they're blocking off the shadiest side of the park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get a staff member from CD6 to come
Sorry, I
talk
have a
to you.
lot of issues.
No, that's okay. If you just hang out there in the audience, we'll make sure somebody from the council office comes and speaks with you. Thank you for your comments today. That closes our general public. Oh, sorry, we had Susan Rocha came back. If you'd like to speak now, come on down. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, some of us have jobs, and it's really helpful if we could go first, because we need to get back to work. And to sit here through, other things that are going on, I don't think it's fair to us that have a job and got to get right back to it. Because it's just a sign of respect that you respect us as taxpayers, working taxpayers, that we need to get back to work. If you respect our time. Besides that, I want to bring up the issue again about noise laws, and we've got some really good noise laws. We've got 4 LEPD officers on the noise enforcement team. There need to be more than 4 officers for noise enforcement in the whole city. And there was some talk today about the detectives who handle the car thefts. And I don't know if any of you know how many detectives are in each station, but there's only 2 or 3 in each station. And that really needs a change, because that's why we have so much car thefts. There's no way to crack down unless we have more detectives. And I also want to say something about the community-based police academy, which I'm proud that me and my son just graduated from. I'm disappointed that the Northeast Station was very not represented, or there's only a few of us there. Kudos go to Hollenbeck and the 77 station and the Central stations, because they were well represented. Well, and it was a great experience, and the officers that run it are fantastic. And if anybody has ever questioned a police shooting before, they would really get an education by attending this academy for 2.5 months. It's a real learning experience.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rocha. Your time. And just to address, we used to have public comment at the end of our meetings. We moved that for years. It was at the end of the meetings, and we know many members of the public come here to speak on individual items for public comment too. So they are here for that earlier reports of the meeting as well. But we appreciate what you said. Mr. Smith, I believe wants to be recognized. 54 forthwith without objection. Okay, if we can take up the next commissioner appointment, please.
That is the reappointment of Ms. Andrea Alarcon to the Board of Transportation Commissioners.
Okay, I'd like to recognize, as she comes forward, come on, have a seat here. Thank you for your patience as well. And I'd like to recognize the Chair of our Transportation Committee, Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, and thank you, Andrea, for being here. I have to tell you, colleagues, Andrea has been one of those individuals that not only attends the meetings, which, you know, she is a frequent attendee, but also is present in my Transportation Committee meetings. She's out in the public talking to people about the role of transportation and the challenges we have with traffic, engaging in solutions. And so she's been an excellent commissioner, and I wanted to stand and give her the thumbs up again and to encourage all of you to support her renomination to the Board of Transportation Commissioners, and just to thank her for her leadership over the last couple of years. She really epitomizes a great commissioner, and maybe got a little bit of training from someone at this table, but I think she's been an excellent addition to the Transportation Commission.
Thank you.
So I ask for an aye vote today.
All right. Would you like to say a few words as well about your interest in serving again?
It's been about 2 years since I was initially appointed to the Transportation Commission, and it's been a pleasure to serve over those 2 years. The past 2 years have been a growing experience for me. I've serving under Attorney General Jerry Brown. I've also completed my first 2 years of law school, and I'm looking forward to entering into my third and final year this fall. In addition to that, the Transportation Commission has been a tremendous learning opportunity. Some of our proudest accomplishments in the Valley in particular include the 101-405 gap closure project, the Orange Line rapid bus route. One of my favorites is the San Fernando Road bike path, because I live across the street and I use it fairly regularly. We've also seen traffic lights get synchronized and new parking meter technology get implemented. So we've done a lot. That's not to say that there's not a lot to do. In a city like Los Angeles, there's always more to do as it pertains to transportation, but I look forward to working with all of your offices in meeting the needs of the City of Los Angeles.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Labange is our next speaker, then Ms.
Very much. You mentioned some of the work on the 405 and the 134, 101 area. What relationship is our Department of Transportation Commission having with Caltrans? What kind of physical relationship? I know they're in the same building, but do you ever meet with their folks?
You know, that's been one of the things that I would like to build upon our relationship. The commission itself, as commissioners, we don't get the opportunity to meet with them one-on-one, so that's definitely something that I would like to look forward to doing.
Part of the objective of the shared partnership between the City of Los Angeles and the State Division of Highways Caltrans in that building at First Street, is everybody could be in a meeting in that same building, because they were located other parts of downtown, so that'd be a good initiative. And also our liaison, I don't know if our liaison is here, but I'm still awaiting from the CLA some direction, Ms. Gruhl, on trying to create a citizens advisory committee on the freeway system that would help and voice Los Angeles concerns. I know I read in the story in the paper recently about the connector of the 405 and the 101, and I know it's not our property, it's, quote, state property, but it's our city, and there should be a voice that is there for us, and I'm interested in pinch points, trying to relieve pinch points throughout the freeway systems where lanes go from down one lane from 4 lanes to 3, and it causes that congestion. If there could be a voice for that, and it would not necessarily be a commission, but an advisory group would help get the word out, because we need to advocate, because still, although more and more are taking public transit, still 85% of all movement of people is by vehicle. And we'd rather keep people on the freeway moving than on the city streets cutting through neighborhoods. So, Andrea, thank you. Tell the Attorney General that he has a warrant because he hasn't been to the observatory in his life.
Oh,
and
no.
I don't want to shame Jerry Brown, but I have to, because he told me that, and he used to live in Silver Lake. He told me that, so I got to tell him I love him and thank him.
Will do.
Thank you. Mr. Weezer.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Andrea. I see you in the hallways and your involvement with the city, I see that we have on this commission a very intelligent, committed person, so I want to thank you for that. And also, given that you're going through law school, we know how tough that could be. Some of us have gone through that, and it's tough to balance both, but you've certainly given 100% to this commission and added quite a bit with your knowledge of not only the valley but knowledge of all the city. So thank you. There are a number of issues in CD14 that we're going to raise soon in terms of how do we better have better pedestrian access throughout communities like Boyle Heights, where it is a thoroughfare from the San Gabriel Valley and that part of town to downtown, and where pedestrian safety is put in jeopardy. Those are some issues that, at least from my part of the city, are going to be raising soon. So I look forward to working with you on those issues.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate my colleague raising these points. I've been very focused on the whole bicycle as an alternative to transportation. From a commission's point of view, are there other approaches and or strategies you see the commissioners taking advantage of your role at the commission in bringing to light and perhaps pushing the transportation department to raise and elevate the whole notion of a bicycle infrastructure within the city as a higher priority, given the price of gas, given the issue of pollution and global warming? Can you just speak to that and see where do you see it in terms of the radar of the commission?
I think the commission as a whole is by far a huge advocate of alternatives outside of the car, single passenger, commutes. Any viable alternatives that are efficient, effective, get people from point A to point B, given, the gas prices and given congestion and, population growth. I think busing, bicycle usage are absolutely necessary. So I think one thing that we can do as commissioners, and it's a very, very minimal thing that we can do, but we can utilize those services ourselves. We can live our lives in the way that we speak that they should be. So for example, I use the busing system from Sylmar to downtown on a very regular basis. I use the bike paths. I use my bike and I take my daughter with me very often. So I think that in living our lives in ways that we suggest that the residents of the city of Los Angeles do, we can set a good example.
When we look at the implementation aspect of our work, I look at how many staff people are actually working the bicycle issue in the department. That's a very small cater of folks. Yeah. I think maybe 4. Maybe. I know there's 2 persons that tend to carry the workload for the whole city of over 3 million, close to 4 million. Yeah. And that's about the bicycle infrastructure. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a challenge. 4 seems to be the number. We've got several different departments that have a staff of about 4 that handle a particular segment of transportation issues for the entire city, which is it's a difficult challenge to deal with. But facing the fiscal crisis that we're in, it's something that we have to work through.
Well, I understand. I have a motion to look at District 1 as looking at road diet measures, alternative bike paths, trying to figure out an infrastructure that takes us off the main arterials because it's very dangerous, and looking at other street corridors as a pathway to get from point A to point B.
Right.
I'm hoping we can expand that to other districts. But again, as chair, I needed to voice this to you in order to emphasize that perhaps it's about time we give the whole bicycle mode a greater emphasis. So I think there's a great desire out there in the community to see that happen.
Right. No, I agree that bike paths are a good alternative. They're not only aesthetically beautiful, the way that we've been developing them, but they're much safer for pedestrians and bicyclists, so I agree. And if there's anything that I can do to help work with your office, I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time and your hard work. Thank you.
And with that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on the renomination. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for renewing your service. We have I just want to mention for the record that Councilmember Alarcon stepped out to recuse himself for that vote. We had one card for public comment we did not get to, Mr. Aguilar in downtown. We got that just at the end. Jose Aguilar, if you can reopen public comment for one more speaker. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? I'm a candidate for District 7 in Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council elections, and I'm here to submit in writing arguments that there are voter irregularities concerning the absentee ballots. And Mr. Cantu statement that the only reason that there was a mix-up in the process was because there were two neighborhood council elections with the word Heights in, and that was the reason that the ballots were mailed out late. And also, I would like to state that the quarter sheet ballots, there were 18 of them, and the envelope is very small. And then the instructions on the ballots state to return because the ballots were mailed out late, that they could return the ballots to the city clerk office. Well, and to look on the envelope for instructions, that what Mr. Cantu stated. Well, the instructions on the envelope is a P.O. box, and these people do not know how to find a P.O. box to return their absentee ballots that were mailed out late. There's also a lot of people that received they received youth ballots that were mailed out to adults. Well, that automatically excludes them because they're adults. They can't submit a youth ballot, so they go submit a youth ballot that excludes them. So, and there was 60 people that received multiple envelopes. That means that they received 3 separate envelopes concerning these elections. It should be done in uniformity. It should be done in one envelope, all 18 ballots. And this, in and of itself, is an irregularity. So I'm petitioning City Council. I already have this in writing, and I already submitted this to the City Clerk, Ms. Taylor. And I would like this to be investigated. I would like this to be postponed, and I want uniformity in the electoral process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. Thank you for those comments. Item 24, I believe the questions have been answered. If we can take that up. Mr. Reyes, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next, item called special. First item.
Item 1 was called special for a card from the public.
Okay, Zuma Dog on item number 1.
Yes, by the way, thank you, Jose Aguilar, for those excellent words. And vote for Jose Aguilar for president of Neighborhood Council.
Topic right now.
Okay.
Keep to what's before us.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. I know you know the rules.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
I'm trying to see here. It says, this is graffiti abatement. Okay, here's what's happening in the city. I'm seeing a lot of these come through now. It's a warning. It's there's a lot of liens that are going to be done on the city. It's appeals for building and safety. This one's for graffiti, and there's lots of them here on the agenda. So the city's in big trouble to generate revenue, and these are the ways they're going to. Okay, like right here, it's a lien for graffiti abatement, and there's tons of them here for $10,000 for cleaning up fencing, for demolition costs. And I know, I don't mean to be off topic, I know it's for this one, I'm just trying to combine all of them to let the people know. I don't get concerned when I see one or two little things, but now I'm seeing a wave of them come through, so all the people need to be worried. There's going to be a lot of abatements and liens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. That closes our public comment on that item. If we can please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 3 called special for a card.
Okay. Excuse me? I can't quite hear you. We have item forthwith on that? Oh, okay. Oh, we're going to include Mr. Alarcon on that. Yeah, you were. Okay. Number 3, we have Cardesia Solano. And if we can have some assistance from the translator, I understand, on this one. Por favor, venga usted aquí. Nosotros podemos asistirte. Okay. Bienvenidos.
Gracias. Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es Cinia Solano.
My name is Cinia Solano.
Estoy aquí para decirles que lo que me está sucediendo
I'm here to tell you that what was happening to me
es completamente injusto.
is totally unjustifiable.
He cumplido con todos los requisitos que la ciudad me ha pedido para la demolición. Okay, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Siga.
He cumplido con todos los requisitos
I've done all the requirements that the city asked me to
para la demolición y la limpieza de dicha propiedad.
for my
De dicha propiedad.
for my property,
For my
to
property.
reimburse my property, all the costs that I had.
He recibido un cobro que no,
I received a bill
que yo misma lo pagué, lo hicieron
that
mis
I already
propios
paid for
empleados.
it. My own employees took care of it.
El caso estaba cerrado.
The case was already closed.
Llamé para ver por qué ese cobro y
I called why you were charging me for that.
me han dicho que si no lo pago me ponen un lien en la propiedad.
And they told me that if I don't pay this bill, there will be a lien against my property.
Lo siento mucho, no
I'm
tengo
so sorry.
ingresos
I don't have any income
para pagar esto.
to pay for this.
He colaborado con todo, mi casa
I
está
have
llena de
collaborated with
liens
everybody. My house is full of liens already
por dicha devolución,
for such reimbursement.
aún sin poder vivir en ella porque no
I won't
existe ni
if I
casa.
don't live in it because the house doesn't even exist.
No tengo dinero
I don't have any money,
y sigo pagando mis mortgages y
and I
quiero
continue
tratar
paying the
de
mortgage.
de construir mi casa, pero
And
ni
want
un
to try
banco.
to continue paying the house and rebuild it.
Estoy al día con mis bills, pero
I'm
no
day by
tengo
day
ni,
with the bills.
pero no tengo dinero aún ni
I don't
para
have
dónde
any money,
vivir.
not even a place to live.
Pero quiero continuar y
But I
ver si
would
puedo
like to
construir mi
continue
casa, la mantengo
To
lo
see if I
más
can
limpio
rebuild my
posible.
house and keep it as clean as possible.
He cumplido con todo.
I have done everything.
Quiero que me ayuden
I need your help.
Thank you.
para esto.
Okay.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. All right. That we'll close public comment. If no one wishes to be heard on this one, we'll go ahead. Mr. Labange?
I'm sorry, Mr. Garcetti. There's
Okay.
a representative of Building and Safety here. This is a house. There's documents that unfortunately show a condition that is not acceptable in any neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. And there were 30 calls made out from that. If Karen, would you please come, Karen Reeves, and also ask if our translator could make sure that whatever I'm saying is translated?
Yeah, there's equipment for the petitioner. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Karen Reeves. I'm with Building and Safety. And Ms. Solano is accurate in saying the work was done. She did do the work. It took her approximately 16 months to do the work, after she was ordered to do it by the Board of Building and Safety Commissioners. So what she's getting billed for is not the work. It's cancellation of the work order itself. The city had to contract with a demolition contractor. We went out to bid, and then we had to cancel that contract. So what the bill was for is a cancellation fee plus the administrative costs that's imposed pursuant to municipal code.
Let me ask the city attorney. Mr. City Attorney, this is the first time I've ever heard of something like this. And you can see there was a problem at this location. Is our administrative cost out there? Did you actually do it, or is that an additional cost? Because is there any way to look at this if it's justified? If the person who owns the property cleaned up the property, that's what we want. If there was cost to the city of Los Angeles, we have to recover it. But if there was cost that was not billable, if you could say that, has it been looked at at all? And I want to ask the city attorney to weigh in on this, because I don't know if Karen has been...
I'm sorry, there's one thing I failed to mention. This is now a vacant lot. This is not there's not a structure on the lot.
All right.
The demolition was for, it had been done by the owner partially. So there was a partial structure left, and the owners were complaining about it. And subsequently, that's why we had a Board of Building Safety hearing on it with the commissioners. And that's when they declared it a public nuisance and declared that the remaining structure be demolished. And we tried to cause that to be done, but we kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed because the owner asked for various extensions, which she was given. But this cost that is, or the amount of the lien is not for the cost of any work done. The administrative costs, we made over 50 contacts with the owner in the 16-month period. There were 33 inspections. The rest were telephone calls, and those are not billable.
We were 33 times you were at the house? You
Yes.
Sure? 33 times?
33 times the inspector was there. 33 times I was there once for the pre-bidders conference.
34. Let me ask a question, Mr. City Attorney. Can we continue this one day? Can we ask that Building and Safety review this? Because this is the first time, members help me, is this the first time you know of an administrative charge on this, not a work charge?
May I interject here?
Sure.
There's an
Dave Lyra is right over here, too, if he wants to.
There's an administrative charge on each and every lien that the council confirms.
I got that.
And just for the record, there are certain costs that can be waived and certain costs that cannot be waived, because then there would be a gift of public funds.
Yeah, I don't want to
So this could be continued a day or two or a week.
No, I want to continue it a day, and I want you to look at it and recommend to me is what's fair here. What's fair for the city? What's fair to the person? We wanted the property cleaned up. There's no question the neighborhood is better. And if you look at the pictures, yes, it was a problem. So, Dave Lara, you're standing back there. What do you think? You could get back by tomorrow? So look at it. We may come back and say this is a justifiable charge, but this is the first time, and I've been around, that it's just the administrative charge and no work. And I don't know if that's due to me or so I move we continue it one day and ask Building and Safety meet with City Attorney, make sure we do everything absolutely legal. If there was services we provided that is a charge, if there's anything done administratively, because this is the first time I've heard of this process like this, Karen. We want to do, I think, what's fair.
We are doing everything pursuant to code.
Got it.
That's
so we could do.
Thank you.
Okay.
So one day?
One day.
Okay, we have another card on this as well. Gabriela Solano, let's come forward.
Hello, I'm Gabriela Solano. I'm Senia's daughter, and I actually, most of my concerns were addressed with Mr. Bluebone's comments, so thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure everything was done fairly.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Without objection, we'll continue that one day. Next item, please.
Item 17 was called special for a card from the public, and I've been informed that person has left.
Okay. For the record, that was Dimitri Boris in City Hall. So with that...
And, Mr. President, the recommendation from Building and Safety is to now receive and file that item.
Okay. Without objection, we will receive and file 17. Next item, please.
Item 34 called special for a card.
Okay. Item 34, Zumadog. Okay. He passes. We'll close the public hearing. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, please.
And, Mr. President, the ord will carry over 1 week.
1 week for item 34 as an ordinance without 12 members. Item 38, please.
Item 38 called special for a card.
Mr. Zumadog, 38.
Oh, no, this is about water and power. I was in a good mood. It's about the Department of Water and Power installation of electric facilities. Can I pass on this one? I got to pass on this one. Pass on this one.
Thank you. All right. That will close public comment on that. Go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item 44 called special for cards.
Mr. Dog, item 44. Item 44, sir. Oh. Did I say anything?
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, this is one of those things, again, that's coming through. I'm seeing a lot of them on the agendas. It's for overpayments. The city has to reimburse for overpayments. This one's for $130,000. I added up to about $500,000 on today's agenda of overpayment business tax that the city has to give back. So that's going to be $500,000 that y'all thought you had that you don't have now, and that's just on today's agenda. So I hope this is like an annual, once-a-year review of giving back money for overpayments, but otherwise it looks like the city is going to be in more big financial hot trouble, y'all, because there's hundreds of thousands, $500,000 on today's agenda of money the city has to give back. And I'd like to tell you that the serious budget crisis is, you might have heard, y'all must be shocked when you turned on the news this weekend and it sounded like Zuma Dog's public comment about the economy. Massive belt tightening will be needed, and more on that coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. And overpayments come on the agenda, but underpayments do not, so there are offsets as well that we get from the underpayment side. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, next item, please.
Item 48, called special for cards.
Mr. Dog, item 48, and Donna Pearman will be next. You have 1 minute left.
Is this a special event fee?
Item 48.
Go ahead, you can take it.
Ms. Pearman, Mr. Dog waves his comment.
Okay. Let's see. I could tell you, now you're in Van Nuys, about the fee waivers. It's common knowledge we can't afford them. I can't be here for tomorrow and Friday fee waivers, and I want to put it on record I'm against Wednesdays and Fridays fee waivers, too. Marin Fogler is also against them. Let's look at today's fee waivers. The biggest one is the Los Angeles Film Festivals for $50,000. I realize we get revenue, but with all the film companies make certainly we shouldn't have to pay for it. I'm sorry we should be spending money for activities that are only enjoyed by a few. It doesn't help the public as a whole. Our city is falling apart and you fiddle while Rome burns. This is the case our L.A., as along with our Lakers are falling apart. Our city employees have to spend money. Our city council has to also. And let's see. Okay, let's go over here. We got the Vista Hermosa Park grand opening, $3,000. Friend of Mount Washington School biannual flea market for $1,500. Shouldn't that be LAUSD? The 9th annual tribute honoring our heroes. That's very nice and all, but it's $2,122. Certainly we can find somebody that was willing to give money on that. I mean, it's such a great idea. At Harbor City Days, I'm not sure what that is, $1,226. Community Garden Celebration, $2,351. And what's a Dyke Day, Los Angeles on June the 7th for $3,251. Is that the same as the 15th annual March of Lesbian Visibility? I don't like the word Dyke, so I hope it's somebody's name. So let's go against the fee waivers because we can't afford them. This is not right. With you raising all these prices with the trash fees and the water and charging people, this is not right. Say no for once. Close the roll, tabulate the vote. 12 noes.
Thank you, Ms. Pearman. And I hope you haven't lost faith in our Lakers yet. They need us. Sharon Brewer is our next speaker.
Sharon Brewer, special event fee waivers, item number 48. 8 total, 8 with amounts, $66,632. 4 after the fact. I'd like to speak on D. It's a CD 15 on June 14th, $1,226, Harbor City Days. Sponsor is Harbor City Neighborhood Council. As of June 1st, 2008, Dunn Funding website says they have a balance of $64,220.87. I'm wondering why a neighborhood council with over $64,000 needs to be asking for a $1,200 fee waiver. We must kind of look into that. Then we have the E, which is CD5, 6/19 to the 29th, $50,000 LA Film Festival. What's interesting is when you go back and look into the history on this, June 22nd to July 2nd of 06, they asked for a $200,000 fee waiver, not a $50,000 fee waiver. In 07, they ended up asking for a $204,000 fee waiver. It's nice that they're now asking for a $50,000 fee waiver, but is this really what the fee waiver is, or is the $200,000 the actual fee waivers for all these days that streets are closed? Also, it says that there's like 250 films that will be available. Are those free to the public? Again, the fee waivers need to take and stop, and you need to investigate and look at what the true cost of the fee waivers are. Again, $50,000 or $200,000. Thank you.
Thank you. That will close our public comment on this item. If we can please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, those are approved. Next item, please.
Item 49, called special for cards.
Ms. Behrman, item number 49.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't have notes on this, but I'm against the convention center fee waiver. This is we can't afford to spend $10,201.10 in room rental fees for the event. Our city is falling apart, and our people are losing their homes, people are losing their jobs, and this is not a time to be sitting around waiving fees for convention fees. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ms. Behrman. That will close our public comment on this item. If we can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved as well. Next item.
Item 50, called special for cards.
Okay. Ms. Behrman, item 50.
Okay, I'll be short on this one, too. This is another convention's fee waiver for the Equal Voices of America's Families Conference. Certainly, I'm sure there's plenty of places where you can find that somebody else can pay for it and write it off on their income tax. This is $12,250 in room rental fees. I don't see why we have to have so many things on the convention. I mean, when other people come up with things that they have to find ways to fund these things, and they don't ask for the city to pay for these things. So since most of the people are not going to these things, I don't think that the city of Los Angeles should have to pay for it. So don't vote no.
Thank you, Ms. Behrman. We'll close the public comment on this one as well. And if we can prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That item is approved. Next item, please.
Item 51, called special for cards.
Okay, Mr. Dog, item 51.
Yes, I'm concerned that we don't have
left.
Oh, I'm concerned we don't have a quorum because Cardenas walked out before public comment and he wasn't here.
He's here.
No, Cardenas, I said. He hasn't been
right
in the
here. He's in a room right here. Jason is part of this.
Oh, he hasn't been in the room this whole time. You know what?
If you could speak
and
to
then
this item.
when Alarcon recused
Mr.
himself.
Dog, if you could speak to this item.
Track maps. Here's the important thing about track maps. You may have heard that the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, declared that there's a water crisis, and I'm here to say that you need to cut back on track maps. It's in the news media now. This is what allows density. It allows projects to keep getting built that are way too big, and variances and zoning variances. And hey, bros and broettes, you got to shut down the track maps. There's no water. It doesn't matter that you can't hire enough police, you don't got enough room in the schools, that the roads aren't wide enough, all these things. It comes down to water. Unless, somebody's going to fly overseas to figure out how to make some dehydrated water, we're in big trouble. So forget everything else. This is about water now, y'all, and it's a crisis. And I say you don't even know what you're voting on with these track maps. No more track maps, and you did lose a quorum. Please look into that. Thank you.
Go ahead and open the roll on this item. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 52 was called special for cards, and there is an amending motion that has been circulated.
Okay. That card is Mr. Dogg's. He's reached his limit, so we'll go ahead and add that to the record. And if there's no objection to the amending motion, that'll be accepted as a friendly amendment. And if we can prepare the roll as amended and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved.
And the ordinance will go over 1 week.
Okay. That will be a second week for less than 12 members here. Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, there is a special one, and the city attorney will speak to the findings.
Mr. City Attorney, on the findings for special item 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since the posting of today's agenda, the conditions for the tenants at 1555 through 1557 and a half West 35th Place and 3517 South Denker have worsened such that the immediate health and safety of the residents is in danger. The Housing Department has ordered the units to be vacated. Because the amount of relocation assistance is greater than $50,000, council action is required. Immediate action is required to provide assistance to relocate these tenants into habitable rental units as soon as possible. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Thank you. If nobody wishes to be heard on the findings, let's open the roll on the findings, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that is now before us. Okay, we'll go ahead and open the roll on the actual item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11
I'll
ayes.
send that forthwith for Mr. Wesson. Thank you. Next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Perry requests to be excused for today's meeting for city business, Wednesday, June 25th for personal business, and Friday, July 11th for city business. A motion is required for the 25th and the 11th.
That takes us down to 11 or 10?
10 on the 25th and 11 on the 11th.
Please hold the one on the 25th on the table, and we'll go ahead. Without objection, I'll move Ms. Gruhl seconds for the other one.
Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused to arrive at 11 a.m. on June 17th for city business. A motion is required.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move that. Ms. Gruhl seconds without objection.
Councilmember Hahn requests to be excused to arrive at 10:45 on June 17th and for the entire meeting of July 11th, both for city business. A motion is required for the 17th.
All right, I'll move that, and Ms. Gruhl seconds without objection.
Councilmember Gruhl requests to be excused to leave at noon on June 27th for city business. A motion is required.
That takes us down to
11.
11, okay. Well, I'll move that. She'll second without objection.
And Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused Friday, July 11th for personal business. A motion is required.
And that's also down to?
That would take you down to 10.
Let's hold that on the desk as well.
That does clear the desk.
All right. Announcements of a business nature, folks? If not, do we have adjourning motions today? Do we have any adjourning motions? We do. If I can ask everybody, please, in council chambers to rise for our adjourning motion.
You're in the second one, right? That's Jack.
I can ask everybody in council chambers to please rise.
Your staff gave this to me and said they wanted you.
And we'll begin by recognizing Ms. Gruhl, and then we'll come to Mr. Weiser.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. I would ask that we adjourn in memory of Will Jack Stephen Baines. He passed away on June 4th, 2008, after a 5-year battle with colon cancer. He was the husband of Karen Schneppel Baines, who was a deputy to Joel Wax from 1971 to 1975. Will was born in Glendale, California on October 22nd, 1941. He first lived in Sherman Oaks, and then the family moved to the city of San Fernando, where he attended Morningside Elementary School, San Fernando Junior High, and San Fernando High School. Will and Karen loved the San Fernando Valley and recalling the orange groves and open fields and few traffic signals. How it has changed during those times. They share many happy memories of cruising on Van Nuys Boulevard and going to Bob's Big Boy. Will never complained during his battle with cancer. Both Karen and Will loved to travel and visit new countries, and they kept up this travel during his cancer. Their other passion was USC. Their nephew developed a website so their many friends throughout the world could keep track of their travels and Will's condition. Unfortunately, he succumbed to the cancer on June 4th, 2008. The memorial service for Will is on Saturday, July 12th at 10:30 a.m. at Laguna Niguel Regional Park, Shelter Number 10, just left of the park office. He is survived by his wife, Karen.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hahn? Sorry.
Thank you. I'd like us to adjourn today in the memory of Debbie Polaris, who passed away on June 2nd after a courageous battle with cancer. Debbie became a resident of San Pedro when she was 1 and was a lifelong resident, graduating from San Pedro High School in 1972. She was fondly known as Debbie Z down on the waterfront, and she was a proud member of ILWU. She entered Local 13 in 1993 and transferred to Local 94 in 2004. She was a staunch supporter of her union and was a firm believer in an injury to one is an injury to all. She loved her family, her friends, her job, and most of all, her beloved husband, Vince. Debbie is survived by her husband, Vince, children, Angie, Nick, Vinny, and David, siblings, Paula, Patty, Johnny, and Skip, and grandchildren, Alicia, Ricky, Stephanie, and Sherry. May she rest in peace.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn today's meeting in memory of Señora Luz Montes Tovar, the matriarch of the Vasquez family, which is a well-known among Mexican-American activists here in the Los Angeles, Long Beach area. Señora Tovar passed away on Saturday, May 24th in Long Beach in her sleep, only 3 days short of her 103rd birthday. Luz, known to her family as Luchita, was born in Mexico City on May 27, 1905, making her one of the oldest immigrants from Mexico City. Luz taught catechism to numerous youth over the years and inspired several of them to become priests. One of her former students, Father Angel Castro, was recently ordained by Cardinal Roger Mahoney at Our Lady of Angels Cathedral. Most importantly, Luz inspired 4 generations of her family with her work ethic and fighting spirit. The Vasquez family includes notable activists such as Professor Armando Vasquez Ramos of Cal State, Long Beach, Mario Vasquez, a prominent labor organizer and currently an attorney for United Teachers Los Angeles, and Cristina Vasquez, the Western Regional Manager for Unite Here. Luz was recently honored as Chilanga of the Year at the Año Día del Chilango in Los Angeles. The Mexican-American community was blessed with her presence, her spirit, and her passion for social justice, which she has passed on to her family. Señora Tovar is survived by her daughter, Lourdes Vasquez, 10 grandchildren, 15 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-granddaughter. Council members, I also ask that we adjourn today in memory of Jesus Sanchez. Jesus Sanchez died in a hit-and-run accident at the intersection of Cesar Chavez and Ford in the unincorporated section of Los Angeles County on Sunday, June 1st. He was only 9 years old. Jesus lived with his family in the community of Boyle Heights. He was a student at 2nd Street Elementary School. He was a vibrant 9-year-old boy who enjoyed playing soccer and riding his bike. He had big dreams for himself and for his family. Last Wednesday, I joined Jesus' family and many Boyle Heights residents in a vigil to honor Jesus' life, and we also joined the community on Saturday at his funeral. It was far too short, and we are now asking for help to identify the driver who sped off and went through a red light and into the distance. We're asking the public if they have any information about this to please contact CHP investigators at 323-980-4600. It was a late 1990s to early 2000 two-door Honda red with tinted rear windows. Jesus is survived by his mother, Maria, his father, Alberto, and his 16-year-old sister, and we in Boyle Heights community will deeply miss him, and we're doing all we can right now to support his family, who is in need as well financially. And finally, colleagues, I also ask that we adjourn in memory of Cynthia Perez, a young girl who passed away way too young. She was only 14 years old and was a victim of a shooting in Highland Park on Memorial Day, Monday, May 26. This happened when a 16-year-old boy with a gun was shooting at another person near the innocent Cynthia Perez. She was struck and died there at the scene. Cynthia had attended Garvanza Elementary School, Burbank Middle School, and was a 9th grader at Benjamin Franklin High School. She was a dynamic, opinionated, and honest young woman. She dreamed of going to college, becoming a doctor, helping her parents buy a home, and supporting them as they get older. Her life was full of promise, and it is a great tragedy that it ended so soon. She lived in Highland Park most of her life and is survived by her mother, Araceli Perez, her father, Jose Reyes Perez, sister Daisy Perez, brother Jose Perez, as well as by loving aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmothers, and countless friends. And I was at the funeral not too long ago, and it was a deeply saddening moment, and it reminded us all about the importance of making sure that our young people do not have access to guns and that our young people stay away from gangs. In fact, the young boy was affiliated with a local gang.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Labange.
Yeah, members, I ask we adjourn in memory of Robert J. Anderson, 75, was the child actor who played young George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. His career in film was more behind the camera than in front of the camera after that great role. He's survived by his wife, Victoria, 3 sons and 3 daughters. I ask we adjourn in also in memory of a great national icon, Jim McKay, the great sportscaster with KABC, who did the wide world of sports and did over 12 Olympic Games. A tremendous man, and survived by his wife, Margaret, and a son and a daughter, Jim McKay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. Mr. Reyes, any other adjourning motions? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. We'll next be in session tomorrow. We'll be back in Van Nuys. We'll be back in downtown at 10 a.m. That'll be downtown tomorrow at 10 a.m., June 11th. And we look forward to seeing everybody there. Have a great day, and this meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned.